full agenda tonight, and that's a good thing. But we have a birthday boy here. Hey. You call a little birthday boy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Big hand. So, you know, he just turned 30.
Oh, what? 30?
I mean, 39.
Oh, boy.
But he also brought his friend tonight, and friend is, I got a friend with a capital F, so we're gonna just let her introduce herself quick.
Hi, y'all. I'm Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Give Linda a big hand. So we just gonna let the women tonight, because they're guests, you know, we're gonna let you wear your hat tonight.
Right.
But we don't wear no hats in here.
Okay.
But you know, just and so, Linda, you want to say a word about yourself, or you know anything? Or?
I'm Linda. I'm a mother of 5, adopted 1,
Wow.
and a grandmother of 15.
Wow.
Now that's Linda right there.
Also a foster parent.
Oh wow.
All right.
Give her some love. Birthday man, what do you want? Do you have anything that you want to say to yourself about this little one you got in your hand?
Oh, this our grandbaby right here. The spoiled one, man.
Who is it?
Huh?
What's her name?
Baby Naya.
Naya.
Naya?
Yeah.
Hey, Naya, you're so beautiful. Give Naya some love. Yeah, we also, sister?
Yes, I'm a guest.
Go ahead. Part of this contingency?
Family right here.
Yeah.
My name is Sherry.
Yeah, Sherry. Give
Hey,
Sherry.
Sherry.
Say something about yourself.
Well, I'm 59 years old.
She's a young woman. Yeah.
I have 6 boys and 4 daughters.
Wow.
I have 8 grandkids.
May the force be with you. Eight grandkids?
8.
Wow.
I have 3 living daughters now. I just buried a child last month. She got stabbed back in Indiana. So yeah, I'm going through some grief right now.
Going through some grief.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have you here.
But I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
And then Malik here has brought his friend to group tonight. And Malik, who is your friend?
I'll let her introduce herself.
Okay. Then.
Hello everyone, I'm LaShawn.
LaShawn, we got all these guests in here tonight. That's beautiful. And don't you know one of the ladies in front of the building? She said, y'all having the women now? Nobody told me. I was like, well, how many women is there? Right. She counted y'all. She knew how many women. I say, you know, we somehow this thing is multiplying. But we're glad to have you here. You are at Power of People Personal Development Leadership Institute. We also have another guest over here to my left, sister.
I'm Yolanda, and I want to first give kudos to foster parents. I came up in the foster care system as an at-risk youth from the age of 12 to 18, and I promise you, I personally, literally want to say thank you, because foster care is actually what saved my life and being able to pay attention to the community, you know, as well as my family. So I want to give that first.
Well, come on.
And then I work for London Construction Company. I'm the corporate EEO officer. So I'm here to share some things about construction on this evening. To give you the real truth that you won't hear when you go into various workplaces for construction, but they don't tell you the whole story. And then wonder why you don't stay. So we're going to be candid.
Well, let's give Yolanda a real big round. So, you know, we got a pop guy just came home. This is him right here. And so, partly, you know, we had cake for our birthday boy. our new arrival, Mr. Dobbs, and also Paul, he's not here right now, but Paul also we didn't get birthday cake for them, so we're catching this one up for everybody. So Thomas, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, what do you want me to say? My name is Thomas, 51. I just got up Monday.
Come on.
It's been a long road. It's been 19 years now since it started. Come to an end in another 50 some days. Glad to be here. I'm really proud to be part of Power of People. It means a lot to me.
Come on, give some love. Well, that's pretty amazing. So we're glad that you're here. Thomas was in Rush City. He was a good student. He was very studious. I think when he first came in, he was kind of saying, what is this gonna be? And then after about the third class, though, he was like, I'm in. And you know that. I don't know what happened. Something, it's like magic. The spirit is powerful. It's not me. It's more powerful than any one person, but it just seems like we grow when we're not even trying to grow. And so we're glad to have Thomas on board and this and that. So I'm going to go right to Tierra because we got a lot of stuff tonight, and I want to see if we can get to a lot of it, and then we'll ease back into some more social stuff, all right? So go ahead, brother.
Real quick, I know that if there's anybody who's been interested in housing has been like a very prominent it's been getting asked about a lot. So they got this thing called coordinated entry, and a lot it's confusing to a lot of people.
So who got this thing?
Hennepin County.
Okay.
Hennepin County has this thing called coordinated entry, and what it is basically you have to go and get assessed at one of three places. St. Stephen's, St. Olave's, and the Matrix. You have to get an assessment done. If you're looking for housing of any sort, then you have to get an assessment done. That's rule number one. After you get the assessment done, then they do what's called like a vulnerability assessment, just to see like how severe your situation is. Like they basically like if you say like, oh, well, I just spent the night, I just got kicked out of my girl's house yesterday or something, then you're probably gonna go like at the bottom of the list. They move quicker based off of people who have, obviously been on the street and things like that. But the important thing to get the ball rolling is just to start there. That's for that. And then
okay, so let's ask a couple questions because that's an important thing. So any guys who are in housing, like for instance James Jeffries, he's actually at Pursuit but wants to get out of there. So if he went to a shelter,
the main thing is just getting that assessment. Nobody wants to do it. Everybody just thinks you can just show up at a shelter and just boom, but it doesn't work that way.
got it. That's good.
Yeah, I got the information on all three of places you can get the assessments done to get that ball rolling.
And then can you get Wayne to post that up on, so that it's just shown up there? And if somebody's interested, or somebody else is going to be somebody that that you feel like is worthy, because here's what I mean by that. I'm coming to a place where I don't want to recommend people who are going to clown out the recommendation. You know what I mean? And you gotta be discerning about that, thoughtful. But if a person is home, especially, men who are coming home from prison, for instance, this is our target population, if you will. And the man is on, the right thing, then here we have a tool and a resource. But one of the things that I'm finding out, and I want you all to hear me carefully, is just sending people someplace without really thinking about what you're doing is actually detrimental not only to the person and the place you're sending them to, but it's detrimental to us and our credibility, and you just have to manage that. All right? Go ahead.
And other than that, we have a lot of trainings coming up, warehouse training, career fairs, job fairs, human services. We got a place where you can go and get free cell phones if you need free food shelves. All of this stuff is up here. This criminal expungement thing that only applies to people who have domestic cases. You'll find out. So, and that is
From how long ago, dear? Like,
I don't think it says, but the info, the info is up there. I got copies of it all. So. But and then we're doing a bike ride too at Lake Calhoun.
What's the date?
Not this Saturday, but 2 Saturdays from now. All the pop guys, we're gonna meet up at Calhoun, and we're gonna rent them little bikes, and word to Brother Isaac, I don't know where he's at, but we're gonna just all fellowship and take a nice ride around the lake for like from 10 in the morning to like 12.
Okay. I think you guys done already beat us too, because I got word that they went behind me last Saturday. About 6. Was you with us?
No, I was supposed to, but I couldn't get it.
Did you ride, Phil? Where was y'all ride at?
No, you already know. Actually, my bike broke down. About high feet. So he left me and I had to walk up.
Give me a hand. The Randy cars, the bag, God bless them anyway. And so this coordinated housing piece, that's a big piece for us. And here's the interesting point. It's only important when it's important. But when it's important, it's like major.
Yeah.
You get it? And so you guys you can either get the information off the board for yourself, or if you have something that comes up, don't try to, I would prefer if you just went through Tier to do it versus trying to, do it yourself. And if you don't want to screen the guy out, because we have to be very careful about that piece. Making sure we're referring, making a correct referral, so to speak. Somebody, is that all to you? Yeah. And then we're gonna go to in 1 second. But before we go to her, let's somebody read real loud the acts of faith.
July 2nd.
Go ahead.
Having begun in the spirit, are you now to be made perfect by the flesh? Galatians 3, verse 3. The most accurate measure of our worth is how much we value ourselves. When we value who we are, I am sure to draw others to me who value me as much. When I am needy, deficient, lacking confidence and self-esteem, I will find myself in situations and among people that reinforce those views. The first step in building relationships is learning to value who I am. We cannot convince others how wonderful and marvelous I am if I do not believe it. I must first convince myself. If we repeatedly find ourselves in situations where I am treated badly, I am responsible, not the other person. When I find myself in situations where I do not feel wanted, I must have the courage and confidence to leave. My sense of worth must come from within. When I have that, I can expect those in my relationships will value me as well.
Man, that's so powerful.
The wealth of my spirit is the light of my world.
And let's give Tierra a hand too for that. Well, that's a powerful comment. It's just right on time for me. Anybody want to speak on that a little bit though?
I'll go. Back in the day, I didn't really value myself, and I could tell that by how much I tried to really honestly destroy my life. I thought self-destruction was like cool, you know, like it was like a rites of passage or something. That's what everybody else around me was doing. But weird thing, it took me to go to prison to realize how valuable I was. And that might sound weird, but I didn't really realize how powerful and valuable I was until I lost everything I had. And I was just, it's like that hedge, like when Joe's hedge got removed, and I was in a strip, and then I really realized that really it was just the God in me that made me righteous. But I never really watered that seed inside of me to ever appreciate it all. And that's why, you know, I can walk around in prison with lint in my pocket but feeling like Warren Buffett or something. You know what I'm saying? Because I was rich in my heart. And like Pop say, you gotta get free. I had to get free first before I got out there. I felt rich though in my heart too. So it's good.
I did. I mean, you did make a visible change, man. When I first met you until you became halfway through going toward the back end of it. But I love this, and I like how you translated the document and you took ownership of the words. I'm just going to read a little bit again. The most accurate measure of my worth is how much I value my own self. When I value who I am sure to draw others to me who value me as much. So the antithesis of that, the opposite of that is when you don't value yourself, you still draw people to you.
That's the wrong kind of people.
But it's the wrong people.
That's good.
And so, but then we ask ourselves, why does this keep happening to me? And the answer is in this text, which says, when you don't value yourself, it's not saying this, but this is Curtis Harris, would you answer that for me? And get the man's name of the letter he wants me to write, please. When you don't value yourself, there's consequences. Say consequences.
Consequences.
Each one, each one of us have experienced some consequences for something. And it was always tied to our own individual value or not of our own selves. Because when we devalued ourselves, we spent our time with subtractors or works. When adders were trying to tell us, we couldn't hear. Let me just share something with you. You know, I had my little grandson in the last week, he's 18. He was sitting right here with Daniel, right here. I wish he was here tonight, but he is, he's a special needs boy. So he's got one of his arms, he struggles to walk. He's handsome, and he's a nice guy. You know, and his mom struggles with her own poor choices. She didn't value herself. And do you know, for some years, I didn't know how bad my grandson really had it. Because she was masking that piece. And I'm not the father, I'm the grandfather, and but I'm saying, hey, you need a little help? Okay, cool. But I come to find out after all of this time that my grandson was absolutely isolated. Was absolutely isolated, and was starved. Say starved. Starved. Yeah, starved for life experiences. So about a month and a half or 2 months before he was going to graduate from Cooper High, right? He called me and he said, Granddad, I need you to, my grandmother lost her place, and we're going to be homeless. And I don't want to be homeless. And would you please come and get me? And I said, I'll be there in a few minutes. And so, I grabbed him and brought him. I want you to, here you go. But once he got to the house, though, we have rules. And I didn't even know they was rules. But he says, well, y'all don't, hey son, what's up? Good. Come on, sit down somewhere. You're right there, that's good. He said, well, y'all go to bed too early. You don't let me watch certain movies. He's 18. But in experience-wise, no. And, then we raising our own children there as well. We want to play video games. This is what they had him doing. This is my grandson. This is my seed. They had him playing video games, and he would just come home from school, from Cooper, special needs bus, drop him off. He goes upstairs, go in his room, and play video games. That was it. And then in the process of being in that kind of deal, he developed some fantasy thinking. This is my grandson. And and so now I don't even know this till I get him home. But now Yolanda, I got him home, and I'm saying, now wait. Son, I just gotta tell you this. This is what this got out of me. He said, well, I'm gonna go to the NBA, and then I'm gonna retire in 3 years, and so forth and so on. And so you gotta put that down. Watch this. I mean, he got it locked in his mind. He can hardly get up the stairs by himself. Hard to put his shoes on. He had to have help. He discards that. Because in the fantasy world, you can play a video game. You can get good. He's good with one hand, and at the video game, and he's good at that. And then we have a hoop in the back. We have him, going out and shooting. And I could see where if he didn't have these challenges, he might be a little guard or something that could do some things. And he could still play, in some special needs thing. But he don't see himself as being special needs. So today, and I'll stop after this. I'm going on too long. I'm sorry. He said he was talking on the phone to somebody else. I don't know who he was talking to, but he said, "Yeah, I just want to get out of here because, they got too many rules, and we go to bed at 11 o'clock, and they, you know, you got to clean up, and you know, it's all, you know, just kind of normal things. He saw those as rules, and not only that, but they was oppressive.
Yes.
And he's telling somebody else on the phone, you know, my granddad is oppressing me. That's the feeling I was getting. And I was, well, it hurt me too. Look, I'm gonna tell you why I say this. My grandson, if he would stay with me, you know, he still could have a good life. It would be good for him to stay where he's at. But he's been so oppressed that when he got to the good life,
Yes.
it don't feel good.
Right.
Say the good life.
Good life.
See, you know why I'm gonna tell you this? Watch this. Cause see, it's not spicy. See, when you living in drama, somebody say drama. Drama is spicy. This is what somebody say spicy. This is why it's so attractive to you. Because you get inside of drama and it just seems like, hey, you know, hey, this is yeah, I'm here, baby. So it's all live now. This is the drama, say the drama. It's spicy, say spicy. And none of that spice at my house. Sometimes the good life is peace. So wait. I'm just gonna wait for you to think about what I just said. No, wait. She didn't hit deep enough. I'm gonna say it again. Because you'll miss it. Right in here, right now, there's somebody right here, right now. You are more addicted to drama than you are to the good life. Right now, you're sitting in here, and you think I'm talking about my grandson. I am, but I'm talking about you. But watch this. It's not spicy. The good life is sometimes it's just peace. Say peace. So remember when you was locked up? Wait. And you know what you would say? This is what you would say sometimes. You would come into the class, and then I'm sitting there. Here you come in the door. We shaking hands and this and that. This and that. Yeah. And then you know you would feel when you engage me, you know you would feel peace. And you had walked into the room with peace, but I brought it with me.
That's right.
Woo. Wait a minute. The thinker of my thoughts is the one who sent me. And he sent me with peace. So you would have something to compare your spicy attitude to. For my guests, when I go to the penitentiary, I'm shocked every time I go there. Is that right or wrong?
Yeah.
You ain't saying it too loud, don't get mad. But I do that intentionally because I want to set an example. Because you ain't got to look like that. When you come in and see me, you say, man, Poppy, it's up. But I'm not doing that for me. I'm doing that to make a suggestion to you that this is available to you. That's right. That the peace of the peace. The peace of the good life. It's not spicy. I don't hear you. It's not spicy. That don't mean that we don't have a lot of fun.
That's right.
That don't mean that at all. It's just so we done weeded out the stuff, you know. Just think about going into a garden. If you ever had a garden of your family, we got a small garden in the back. We can tell how busy we are, my wife and I, by how well the garden looks. See, the garden is healthy, the dirt is healthy. And we done put all the nutrients in there, we done put all the good stuff in there, adders and multipliers in the soil. But when we're real busy, running after Daniel or something like that, then we don't have time to pull the weeds. And look, I'm almost done. The weeds, Jay, will grow in such a way they mass themselves around the crop. And the weed will almost look just like it's the real thing. So that you don't come out and pull it. It know how to disguise itself like, oh, it ain't that bad. Go ahead, I want to chase that. But then when I look at, when we get out there and say, how did it get? It's bad. And then you got to go in there and take the weeds out so that the good thing that you want can grow. Now, my grandson, I said, he came up to him and talked to me, and this was growth for him. He said, Granddad, I just want to tell you, I think I want to leave, and this and that, and this was hurting. Because he's not going to be safe, Lolita. He's not going to be safe. He can't take care of himself.
Right.
But he believes he can, and I love that he thinks that. I connect to that part. But he's very vulnerable, has no real life experiences, and he's going back now to the environment that he just left for me. How do I handle this? So I said, well, okay, son. I always love you. I'm always going to love you. But I'll never forget that. I'm always going to come see about you. I gave him a couple dollars, and he got something to help him, get going on packing his stuff. I had my wife to call his grandmother, but that's where he had left from, just to make sure he was somewhere. But what he wants to do, he just wants to go sit and play video games and drink. That's what he's addicted unconsciously to a life of fantasy. This is my grandson. And when I look at this reading, I'm going to go back right here. When I value who I am sure to draw others to me who value me as much. When I am needy, deficient, lacking confidence or self-esteem, this is what he lacks. I will find myself in situations and among people that reinforce those negative views. So I'm sorry, I'm going to stop right there. I went on too long, but
No, you did.
I'm sorry.
No, you did. You gotta get yours out too, man. You gotta get yours out too, I mean, you help us all the time, That's the least we can do is listen to you when you're going through. You know what I'm saying? We all go through. And it doesn't make you less of a man because you're saying what you feel. That's what you teach us. To say what we feel that's really hurting us. So you put it out there so you can get help too,
Absolutely. So,
honestly, that's what I miss the most about our classes on the inside. Like just being able to listen to you talk. It does so much for my life. That's definitely the one thing that I miss the most about the class, because everybody in the class is like new. Besides the student teachers, we're just there to listen to your lesson. Like hearing you speak is just, that's my reset. Those are the weeks where I know for the next 7 days I'm gonna be unstoppable in my workplace.
Yeah. So anyway, thank y'all, and this and that. But let's move it around. Somebody else got something?
I got something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm very emotional.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
My goodness.
You're so beautiful, sister. So beautiful. Yes, you are.
That took a lot of courage.
Yes,
Man.
yes.
I've been there, done that. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't in for no 32, but I was in for 9, and 7 of it was good, but the last 2 before I got out was horrible, and it was like, you can only do so much, you know, and when you get to that point to where you know you done gave it your all and gave it your best and you're still not getting no results, and the other person, they don't really care, you know, and they don't see themselves as doing nothing wrong because they're into self, and you need better than that. It's a two-way street in a marriage, you know what I'm saying? So you have to let go and let God, you know what I'm saying? And when it's all said and done, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. You know?
That's right. That's good, Isaac. Thank you. Boy.
I got something to say to my sister.
What you got to say?
Man, because I mean, when she told me this story, we was on Broadway, I was just getting off work. Well, I kind of felt the pain though, because I never been there in the pain like that. But when she told me, I mean, I'm like, you know, this sister right here is a strong sister. I said, you know what? You have to do what you got to do. She could have kept it a secret. Don't trust him leading.
That's right.
Could have kept it a secret, but this right here just hit it in the head right here.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? And I just see a lot of sisters back here also, and they can agree with you, and they can test with you. You know what I'm saying? Because you had a lot of them out here. They said, yeah, sister, that's what's up right there. So you think about that. You're not the only one out there, but you encouraging others to do what they need to do. You know, for self. And I respect that more than anything out yourself. And you're about queen, so you know what I'm saying? It's all great.
Well, listen, it's funny, man. You got something funny how, you know, you come here sometimes and think one thing is going to happen and something altogether different. So we're going to go to Miss Yolanda. No, here.
No, I was just gonna say real quick.
Go ahead.
I think that was important to hear for the men in here, for me especially, because I've damaged women in my life emotionally, and I've been guilty of that. And so at the point I'm at in my life now, where I understand the value of myself, it helps me also appreciate the value of the group.
That's right.
But when I hear that, it's good to hear that, and it really makes me reflect and have contrition for the wrong I've done.
Wow.
With women, so I'm glad. I respect you for sharing that. Because I always look at things from my perspective.
Right.
You know, and this is the antithesis of the other side. So I love that.
Wow. That was good, brother. Thank you, man. Give him some love. So, do y'all know Samari right here? That's Will's daughter.
Yes.
Give Samari some love. Samari, she won an award for, I think she was the most outstanding math student in her class.
All right.
Hidden figures. And she's so beautiful. And then now she's going out to a new school, Meadowbrook in Golden Valley, where my daughter goes, Purpose goes, and they're going to be schoolmates together. So I'm excited about that.
All right.
My daughter's excited, and Samari's excited. So, and y'all better get all your playing in, because you know this thing is going quick. Gonna be August. Come on, Pat. Come on, find a way to sit down, man, because we got some information for you. Find a chair for Pat. Yolanda, Yolanda, right?
Yes.
We're gonna go to Sister Yolanda because I want to get her thoughts and because in spite of what we just talked about was social and emotional, we also know we got to do the economic piece. We got to get some of that paper. So I need some money.
I need some money.
Yeah, don't be afraid to say that.
I need some money.
Somebody's afraid to say it. And so what we want to do is make sure that Yolanda has our full attention. So sis, go ahead.
Let me first say I came this evening not sure what I was walking into. So I want you to know you've completely thrown me out my square. So I'm going to comment now that I have the floor. I'm going to go ahead and comment on today's word. And just the powerful messages and experiences and testimonies I'm hearing even tonight. I've been the person who's worn the mask. And that's what you're talking about. I've been the person who's worn the mask, who's been strong for everyone else, yet was broken inside.
Right.
And what it took for me was learning how to set boundaries. And that's what it was. As a child coming up in an abusive situation, or situations many, I didn't have boundaries. Because of course, that caregiver was always the lead. So there are no boundaries when you're a kid. And I took that into my adult life. So I'm only learning how to set boundaries literally in the last 7 years. In the last 7 years. So what you see today hasn't always been. And when you were talking about being self-destructive, oh, she done got me messed up. Talking about being self-destructive, I would often try to commit suicide.
My Lord.
And
My Lord.
my last attempt was when I carried my second son. I have 3 children. But I was carrying my second son. And I couldn't get my head, I couldn't even utter a prayer. But there was a song always in my head. And Pops nailed it. It was called Peace in My Heart. So when I couldn't pray and when I couldn't sing, I had the song playing in my head in the hospital. In the hospital. That son and I literally almost went under. So I actually was on a respirator for a couple of days. And it was a lesson learned. That joker today is 24. Getting on my nerve from time to time. You know, but I'm so thankful to God. And I don't know what you all's belief is, but mine is in God. And so the message that carried me over, the acronym is WIG. So for the women, the acronym is WIG. For the men, the acronym is WIC. Worth in God and worth in Christ. So remember that. That's where I had to get resettled. And I'd been in the church for years. Been there for years. But I was broken inside. Still delivering the same powerful messages. But I still had to go home with me. And you were talking about divorce. I did the exact same thing 7 years ago. I had to draw the line in the sand, set a boundary. When you can come home and someone else is in your house, I came home to take my husband for lunch, surprise him. I got surprised. And I went to jail. I'll tell you that. Not because of not fighting her, but clocking him. I don't recommend that. I'm sharing that with you because once again, I don't want you to be deceived by appearances. I'm sure when I came in, you would have never guessed my story. I'm sure you would.
Yes, sir.
But change, it's not even change, because if you change, you can always go back. It's transformation. Transformation. And it's the power of looking within, like the reading is saying. So even I'm encouraged by the reading. I'm encouraged by the reading. And just for this moment in time, I'm going to give you some background. Now I'm going to get off of that and do what I came here to do. I'm going to give you some background, and the greatest blessing one of the greatest blessings I've received is Akethia Brown is here tonight. Akethia Brown works for our company.
All right.
And she is a star. I did not know that she was going to be here. So even what I have shared this evening is probably surprising to her. So I'm so thankful because she has really set the standard on commitment when it comes to being committed. Akethia has her own story. But when I went to do a mock interview over at Summit Academy, she was hungry. And if there's anything I want you to know about, whether it's construction or anything else you want to do, you gotta be hungry.
Yes.
That's Brown talks about. He got a message about being hungry.
Yes.
And she was hungry. And all she needed was an opportunity. And I came back and I talked to the field operations manager, and I was kind of new to the company. I do equal employment opportunity, so I'm the diversity manager. I am the first in the highway heavy industry who's African American and who's a person of color among the large contractors. So it's a really big deal.
Big deal.
But everyone, but see, everyone wasn't so excited.
Sure.
But when I came back with the story of
Hey,
Akithia,
I have my tambourine, but I just can't.
when I came back with the story of Akithia and how she was hungry, field operations manager said, okay, well, I tell you what, if she doesn't work out, it's gonna be your fault. I said, I'll put 5 on it. We was betting.
That's right.
How many years have you been with us? 4. I'm just now getting my $5. And so yes, she had the confidence within to know that if she could just get an opportunity, she'll take care of the rest.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
She was actually acknowledged by the Minnesota Department of Transportation in just last year for her accomplishments. See, you all know the project, 35W. That project out here that's a hot mess, 35W and 94, that's where Keith is. Wait a minute, not only is she working there, she's a crane operator out there.
All right.
That's And so I'm sharing that with you to let you know what's possible. Has it been easy? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so as we talk about highway heavy construction in particular, there are some key things that you definitely want to take note of. I want to make sure I cover what I was asked to do. The construction industry is lucrative. There is a shortage in the construction industry. What they don't tell you is that vertical construction, meaning buildings, and highway heavy, they're construction but 2 separate components of construction. And so you're not told that story. You just keep being told there's a lot of work out there. There's a lot of opportunities out there. True, but on which end? And which end are you interested in? All right. The other thing that you want to be aware of is just because there's a lot of projects, no one contractor has them all.
Right.
And it's such a misconception. And so, yeah, we do some of the largest projects in the state for MnDOT. We now have Southwest Light Rail
That's you.
as well, right? So we do some of the larger projects in the state. But we also have dry seasons. And so in highway heavy, you know, when we're not winning projects in Minnesota, we're going to other states to chase them. Are you willing to go?
I can.
You can do it. Okay. So we are in Iowa, Illinois, North Dakota, South Dakota. Right now we've got a project on the border of Canada. Those aren't things you always hear about. You just hear about there's a lot of work. So what are some of the requirements of being able to have you need a valid driver's license. You need reliable transportation, and here's why. If we're building the bridge, you got to get there. You can't build it if you can't even get there, and there has to be a road for you to get there on. You can't catch an Uber. You can't do an Uber or a Lyft from Minneapolis to Brainerd. Right? It wouldn't even be worth your time. And then try to catch one back. So, because we move from project to project, and sometimes in the same day, you've got to have reliable transportation. So it's not personal, it's required. You have to be able to pass a drug test, both as part of the onboarding process, and there's random drug tests. And you may not get tested again for 2 or 3 years, but it'll come. It's so unfortunate because we had an employee that we just recently had to suspend, which was technically a termination for now. He'd been with us for 8 years.
Wow, man.
And it came. It came, and he failed. Here's why that's important. you are working around large, dangerous pieces of equipment. It's still, once again, it's not personal. Safety is, it is number one. And the risk of someone getting hurt on a project is huge, and it has happened. So those are the things you definitely want to make sure of that. You hear about, there's these workforce goals, particularly for women and people of color. However, they are out there, but what you have to remember is those new goals, the goals that are out there, some contractors have. We're trying to get a static, what we call a static crew, which is a crew that stays current, that stays with us everywhere. So if the goal is 32 and 20, which it is, and we already have 22% of the 32, then we only need 10 more percent. So that means everybody's not going to get in at that time. I wouldn't be discouraged because, again, we're in more than one state working if you're able to travel. One of the biggest drawbacks about the industry that they don't tell you about, it's lucrative. The money's fabulous. It is fabulous, but it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. And you have got to stop and think, what price are you willing to pay?
That's good. Right.
I make a 6-figure income. However, sometimes I wonder what's the cost too much.
Wow, that's deep, sis.
I have been leaving my last child, she's now 15. I've been leaving her on her own since she was 9.5. On her own. And I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that. That is my greatest regret.
Sure.
My greatest regret. Sometimes I'm in another state. She's had a concussion. And I left her at home by herself to go to another state to do my job. What are you willing to pay? What are you willing to give up? So when you think those summers are long and those hours are long, and they are, there's a reason for it. Because you're shut down in the winter.
Right.
We can't do highway heavy work on frozen ground.
Right.
But you don't always get to hear about the cost.
That's good.
You don't hear about how families are broken up because you're in love with your work more than you're in love with me, and I can't get no attention. You don't get to hear that. When the kid is okay, they're like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. But they're sitting by themselves doing things like similar to what he was mentioning, because now by 15, you have your own cell phone.
Right.
What you watching?
Right.
I ain't there. Who you letting in my house? I ain't there.
Right.
How many conferences do you have to miss? Because you've got to be at work.
Right.
That's me working in the office and traveling around. The people out in the field have it worse than that. I'm telling you this because you see people out here, and we keep saying as people of color, particularly African Americans, we're not out there. We're not represented. What are you willing to pay?
Ooh, that's so good. But then you got to slide down, slide the chair down. Then you got to move way down. Everybody,
There's one chair back there.
move back. Come on. There's 2 chairs in here. Come on in. Come on in. Sis, boy, you touching on some powerful things. Hey, you two. How y'all doing? That's such a powerful testimony. And you know what? I just want to be appreciative that somehow the spirit in this room gave you permission to tell that truth. Because that is a part of what we call your silent cry. And that this is a place where that can come and be appreciated because it's hard. You know what I mean? It's hard enough. Give my sister some love right there. Is there a chair y'all can bring in? Some more chairs? And go ahead. I didn't mean to see you.
So when we talk about, one of the questions had to do with the unions. We're signatories to 5 unions. Laborers, carpenters, pile drivers, cement masons, and operators. Heavy equipment operators. And so there is opportunity out there. I would say, one of the questions had to do with background checks. London Construction doesn't do background checks on union positions. So out in the field, you're not going to get a background check. That's a positive for you. And I'll say wherever you go, make sure there's not a question. Because ban the box came in place in 2014, around May 12th of 2014. Ban the box. So if that's your situation, there should not be, have you ever been convicted of a felony on an application? All right? They can ask you upon hire, though. We generally will not. The only problem with that is when we work around a lot of railroads, as you can imagine, there's a lot of bridges around railroads, and that's where the background check comes in. We don't do it, the railroad does it. And so that's where if you have a felony, and they go back at least 10 years, okay, you won't be able to work on that project. What London tries to do, the company I work for, what London tries to do is put you somewhere else though. Especially if you are a good employee, they want to keep you. You're a keeper. And so I want, for those who have that type of background, not to be discouraged. I can tell you wholeheartedly, construction is the field of second chances. It is the field of second chances, but there are some barriers. And the reason why railroads tag like that and do the background checks, they're considered an international company. And so that's why they have it in place, and it's through Homeland Security. Okay? So again, it's not personal. It is just business, and it's for the safety of all of us. Before I continue, because I don't know what else you really want to know, are there any questions for me? Whether it's for the industry or anything I've shared, any questions for me?
Anybody got a question?
So you said the ones that you keep, is there another industry or something that you manage? Something that you manage that person can actually apply for? Or?
You wouldn't need to apply. What his question is, so if you can't get on a project because of the railroad, then we would just place you somewhere else. You don't have to reapply to the company if you're already there. You know, and depending on the project, for instance, I asked about Southwest Light Rail today. Half of that is railroad. Half of that is already railroad. But there's another half that's not. So don't be looking at the cup half empty. Look at it as overflowing. You ain't even got to see it half full. You need to see it overflowing. Because we're not the only contractor on the project, and it's not our only project. So what I try to tell people, get in where you fit in. Even if that means going to a subcontractor, which is a smaller contractor, get the experience that you can. If there was an additional note, I would talk about the importance of having a good attitude. Your temper will be tested. You're right. I promise you, it's going to be tested. And so you have to get yourself in check and be able to do what they call emotional intelligence. And part of that is to be able to control your emotions and yourself. And here's why. You want the job. They got the job. It's your career. Don't give any contractor or any company, don't give them that type of control. I don't care where you go. It's your career that you need to finance you. You know, you're trying to make it for yourself. Don't sit and wait for them to come to you and tell you what the next thing. No, ask questions. That's another downfall. I got a call yesterday about, well, people don't, from another state, one of our other offices, well, you know, people stay for 2 days and then they're gone. Why is that? What did you tell them? Well, they should be doing their own research. Well, now I'm your research. Because you're not going to find this online. So I'm your research today. Because they're not going to tell you the ins and outs and what to expect. All right? So there's a physical component You need to make sure you're in good shape.
Yeah.
It gets brutal out there. It gets brutal. You got to be able to work in inclement weather. So sometimes it's too hot, sometimes it's raining, and sometimes it's just straight too cold. But you've got to be prepared for it. For those who have children at home, figure it out. Figure it out. That 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I got to go pick up my kid. That's going to work for so long. And after that, because time is money.
That was a real one.
Yeah, and so after that, you will be replaced. They may play that for a little bit, and you have to expect to work long hours, especially in the summer. So, for all the birthdays that you may miss, the family vacations that you would typically do in the summer, what price are you willing to pay?
Yeah, that's true.
And then you're so exhausted in the evening, all you want to do is sleep. You ain't got time for your kids.
Right.
Yeah, you're home, but you're sleeping. And you're sore. Think about that. It's possible. You got to work hard for it. Again, the money's great, but you got to work hard for it. It's not going to come easy. And your buttons are going to be pushed. Weather dependent, so you know that I told you we're a seasonal employer, so we're down in the winter, but we're also down when there's a lot of rain. We've got a project in Illinois right now, or Iowa, excuse me, right now. And because of the flooding, we've been down for 77 days. Just now getting back. Are you prepared for that? That means you got to manage your money. You've got to manage your money. I'll give you a short story, and I am going to jump off of this so you guys can give me some feedback. I came in and it was more money. I didn't start out making 6 figures. Don't get it twisted. Right. I went to school and everything. But everything. I mean everything. Everything's everything. So it was a great sacrifice to get here and stay. But I started making good money, and I became impulsive. I'll take one of them. Give me one of them. I want that in blue. You know, we would have all been at a restaurant right now. And unbeknownst to you, I done already taken care of the tab.
Come on, sister. I like how you think.
I loved how I thought till I realized what was happening in the next couple of weeks when I couldn't pay the bill. My other bills. You know, when I hit the struggle points. Yes. And it wasn't about bragging. I was just so thankful and so appreciative that I wanted to bring everybody along on the journey.
That's right. Wow. That's
everybody
good.
on the journey. I had to learn. You know, I got my car and everything. I'm driving a white Lincoln. You just saw it.
That ain't you out
But
there.
I wait. That's me. All day. Making them fat payments. Don't be deceived.
Yeah, that's right.
Some fat payments.
Right.
Right now I'm looking back on what was I thinking.
About
Right? I didn't anticipate the other bills that would come. So the important thing is you've got to learn to manage your money. It takes at least 2 seasons to try to get the hang of that. Just to try to get the hang of that. What price are you willing to pay? It's the same. You're right. It is the same question. So I'm going to wrap it up. Are there any questions?
Are there any training initially coming in?
There are training programs. Summit Academy has a carpentry training, and though they do vertical construction, we still hire from there.
Okay.
The highway equipment operators training they no longer offer, which is where Akithia came from. Goodwill Easter Seals has in St. Paul. They have a construction training, and Merrick has a construction training program. Deed has a construction training program that is connected to the cement masons. And so those are all free. They are free. So if you're interested, you know, y'all get back to them, let me know. I'll get the information over. They're all free. And then what happens is contractors will actually look at you because you've come through one of those supportive services programs versus you coming off the street with no training.
Right.
No experience.
Yeah. You know, I'm sorry, sis. Raise your hand if you're unemployed in the room. I'm going to show you something. There's one. He's the only one because he just got home. He'll be working in the next couple of days. But got a Mike Walker, who we got now working on he's a driver's license. Mike Walker has the experience to get in and, you know, the physical attributes to take care of business. I just was thinking about him out loud. One of our guys who's at work on the second shift. Somebody else, is anybody else? And this is not our full complement here. Someone else is Travis Westgate. Let's get Trav to have a talk with.
Like, what's like for the laborers? What do they start off?
It's roughly about $21 an hour plus benefits. So that's not the whole package, that's just your starting pay.
And how long does it take to get to that? You have to go through the
If you get hired on contractors, that's already.
Your training comes through the union. So upon that hire, it's already like $21 an hour. But there's training that you get through the union. And so that combination of training and you working combined is what moves you up the scale in your apprenticeship to journey person. Akithia is at least at 93%. She's not a laborer, she's an operator, but she's at least 93% apprentice level. So she's getting close.
My sister.
She also made Apprentice of the Year at the Operators Union.
Does it help to have a Class A CDL?
It always has everything else. Put it on. Any and every type of experience that you have. I don't care if you worked on your friend's house, laid a patio.
I got more experience than I can list.
Okay, so you gotta have something.
I'm definitely interested in, because I'm partially employed right now. I just got a job today, like doing a waiter job, like it's a weekend thing, catering banquets and stuff.
Yeah.
Got that job today.
Well, give him a hand for getting something. All right. Well, I want you to follow.
I'm definitely interested. Definitely.
Go ahead.
My question was, you began to speak about benefits. Where I work right now, I get like 100% of healthcare. I mean, like if I get a $6,000 bill, I pay my little deductible with $1,000. I take the rest to them, and they give me a check.
No, we ain't doing it. I
don't
know that the union does it that way. I try to stay away from the in-depth unions because we have 5. So they all do their benefit packages differently. So I don't speak toward that. I doubt that they'll be cutting you a check though. They may cover it. You know, Akithia may want to talk about how her union works that out. I don't know. But I try to stay away because it is different, you know, and it's worth looking into. It's worth looking into. Anyone else?
That's good. And so, you know, for now, there's nothing else. I just want to say to you, sister, that was amazing for us. I mean, on all levels, you know, that you were able to share with us the way you did, and we're so grateful you're here every Tuesday night. And so Tierra's going to be our conduit. I'll throw to you, Will. Tierra's going to be our conduit for those who want to connect. I don't know if you brought cards, but you know you want to send those around. But use Tierra and make the connection. Real, what you got?
Well, one thing I was going to say that, well, Yolanda didn't say that everything she's been is what has made her a extraordinarily unapologetic mentor. Akithia has told me on more than one occasion that Yolanda is the best thing about life.
Wow.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? And I know that she is very responsive, like when she, you know, the folks she brings in, she keeps tabs on them, she communicates with them all the time through emails, through texts. She always responds quickly, and so, I mean, she is a force to be with on more than one level. You know what I mean? And And I know personally that she has tried to bring in as many people of color as she possibly can. And you know, and I see her at Summit all the time.
Wow.
Even when just on volunteer basis, you know, like with my interviews and stuff like that, I see her all the time.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's Thomas has got a pretty good resume too. And so, you know, you also may want to check in and see what's here for you.
I do want to be clear, so we're not discounting white men.
Right.
I want to work on that.
That's why they're here.
Yeah, I want to be clear.
You know, and just let me tell you though, you know what? So in the prison, so I teach in prison. The prison was trying to keep the white guys from me. And I was like, Doug, they're trying to keep you from me. And so I was like, now wait a minute, we've desegregated here.
Right.
Now we're not going back.
Right.
And this and that. I had to fight for the. So wait a minute, no, they told me no. You just come for them. And I said, okay, well, forget it. And then they had to reconsider. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that you said. But we got a couple more things we're gonna get to here. Give this sister some good, strong dance. We're gonna get a little more social because we got the birthday boy here, right here. We got Thomas here. We've already done that part though. But Thomas is here, who's brand new, just got home yesterday.
Okay, all right.
Bob's didn't get no cake. He's getting some Jane. He's home just a month or so. He didn't get no cake. He's getting some. Okay, so who else I got? And my brother. Say your name.
Sherrod.
Brother Sherrod. He's just getting out when?
May 13th.
Man, give him a hand.
All right, that was my
We
birthday.
didn't get no cake. So we're going to have some cake and ice cream. The ice cream, y'all get the ice cream,
It's in the fridge.
the ice cream out. We're going to have some cake and ice cream. And then Curtis got his spoons and he didn't think about passing them back. Take the spoons with him.
I did bring some applications from my job.
Okay.
I know they're hiring.
Good. Give
Yeah, because I just had a birthday.
Oh, wait, there's another birthday. All right. So, she's probably 27 or 8 there.
Exactly.
You all right? Yeah. I just got off of work.
Yep.
Side work for them, serving some things.
You, Franco?
All right, Franco. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
She's got some things going on.
All right, Brian. Thank y'all. So we passing cake now. Everybody that didn't get chicken and want some? Doug, you all right over there?
Shane, did Brother Martin come by?
Mark.
Martin from across the street from over at the masjid?
No, I don't think he did.
Okay.
He said he was coming?
Yeah, he said he talked to the...
Oh, yeah, what you told me about. No, he didn't come. So we're just going to relax for a minute. Isaac, you got anything you need? Ice cream before I go. Oh, absolutely.
You know I'm the ice cream man. You got I got 4 gallons in the refrigerator at work.
All right, brother.
So the birthday boy, can y'all get a birthday advance some thing down here?
How old is he? You trying to act like you don't want it. Right. How old is he?
Slim it down.
Shane, I brought you up.
We just, come on, you gotta have something.
I bought you a souvenir.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and
What? The Duke of Earth.
yeah, that's Gene Chandler. That's the first time you had a black man on a whiskey bottle.
Oh, that was my song too.
Yeah. It's been said that you saw it first.
I'll be scared to bring the bottle in the house. You know what I'm saying? That's Duke of Earth. Yeah. Gene Chandler.
That's Gene Chandler.
That's a little bit. Chicago boy there.
Yeah. That's the first bottle with an African American on it.
That might be
He just had that product line for the last 2 years.
nice to meet you. Come on, birthday. Somehow squeeze in. Switch whatever.
Yeah, I want this one.
Another ice cream. Wait, one more. Are you going to eat these? That's cool. Okay.
Say doodle. Tomorrow, Bob.
More ice cream? I think we're good out here.
Double it up.
Sorry, I'm just messing.
Double shot. Double.
Double what? Double what, Willie?
Double bubbles.
Double what? Like ice cream?
No other ice cream?
Wayne, get Wayne some. Some around the corner.
Ice cream is like,
Can I say something since we're just hanging out? Can I get the reading?
And Phil, if you want to say something about the sign,
Yeah, can I see the reading? One of the readings? Did everybody?
No, just put it down. You're official. Go ahead.
All right, hey everybody, my name's Richard. Hey Richard. Hey. I want to speak to the reading in a couple ways. First, it's been on my heart, Miss Queen, dang, wow, that's heavy. It's been sitting with me since you started talking about what's going on with you. And it may be a trivial point right now, but you got a lot of assistance in this room. So depending on how things go, we got your back. Physically, mentally, emotionally, we got your back.
Well said.
The reading, touched me personally, because I had to really think. They say this saying, you are what they'll pay you. I keep hearing this in business, hey, if they'll pay you, you're worth it. But it's not always about money. It's definitely not about money. So in thinking of worth, this sat heavy with me because I'm really trying to do my own thing, like I'm being purposeful. It's kind of like what you said, sis, about working hard. I'm at a point where I feel like I don't want to work like that no more. I feel like I want my mind to, because I've done the labor thing. I volunteer for Habitat for Humanity. I don't know how many houses over north. And I love housing. But now I want to do something a little bit different with housing. And I can honestly say I struggle with this because as someone who's trying to build something for herself that's sustainable, you end up being a reflection of what you do. And sometimes when I don't get the response I'm looking for, it sits with me. It puts me in a position like, maybe this isn't the right thing to do. But I know I don't want to ever work for anybody else. I don't know any other way to say it. I know I never want to be in a position where I can't make decisions about my business.
That's right.
So this sat really, really deeply with me because there's some insecurity here. You know, I'm struggling with that. You know what I mean? I know I'm a good person. I know I can do this, but if I don't get the money, it will be for nothing. Well, maybe not for nothing, but it won't be my dream. Yeah. So that's how this sat with me. Yeah, and I know I want a copy of this, Bob.
Yeah, absolutely. But give him some love right there.
Yeah.
And so, just my open feedback to that would be, what you're experiencing is natural. But let me tell you why it feels unnatural. Because when you have been working as an employee, you get accustomed to the operational norms of being an employee. You know, it gasses me sometimes how, you know, you'll wait till you get that check on Friday and believe that the people got money in the bank. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, you know, folks have gone to, you know, working for other people, have gone to the bank and there was no money.
No money.
You know, in this industry, you know, we're just, you know, but we have this kind of blind faith that somehow that person's check is going to be good. And even to Yolanda's other point of then we'll spend up the whole check.
I got no problem.
Wait until Friday, believing they gonna have their money, but you ain't got yours. I did the same thing you did. I worked for Hennepin County for 18 years. So, you know, it's a good paying job. You know, I came out of there just under 100,000, you know, so been over with my healthcare package. So I had the luxury of being able to get what I want when I wanted. But you know what I mean? I came out of the street like some of y'all, and it took me a couple years, maybe 3 years, to alter my spending habit to match that piece. Now I had to say all that to say what I'm gonna say to you now. And that is that these feelings are natural because what you're doing is you're birthing something. And what you feel is the growing pain, you know, of you coming up out of that old system, waiting on somebody else, and stepping into this new system of you being that somebody else. And that's why everybody can't do it, because that pain that you're experiencing right now, some people, it makes them too insecure. They want to break and run, and you know, you
get a job.
You cop out to a job. Come on, you cop out to somebody else's job. But you know, you following up your leads, you putting your bid out there, you making yourself available. Here's the word you use. You hungry, say hungry. You hungry, say hungry. You hungry for what you're trying to do. The piece is there, right? And so give yourself time, Richard, to have the baby. That's all I want to say.
That's right.
All right. That was all I'm going to say. But somebody else jump in.
Was you gonna say something?
Go ahead, Philip. Now Philip has an announcement that we want him to make and make it official. So stand up, Phil, so you can.
Well, I hope everybody signed that petition that we had.
So what's it for?
What it's for is
in front
next
of you.
week.
It should be in front of you.
Next week, we're bringing that to Sarah Walker next Friday, and in all that, you know, we could use some feedback on the best way to approach this woman. I have some things in my head, but you know, I am seeking advice and wisdom.
Explain
what this is for is that we're gonna do an ask first as far as these technical violations go and the prison reduction. And then we have something else planned if that doesn't pan out. But that's what we're going to do for starters, and then we're going to invite her to a community event next week, well, 2 weeks from now. Either we're going to be celebrating, or either we're going to do something else in terms of whatever her answer is.
So let's be clear. This is, you know, the whole no incarceration for technical violations piece. And y'all know that Chris here just last week got restructured for being over his house where he had his computer on.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I wrote the dude, and the dude told me, well, you know, see, you don't know everything.
Yeah, that's what he said to me.
You know, you don't understand. I'm like, man, I've been messing with this boy for 7 years. You the one that just got here. You don't understand.
And just to clear up things, I'm about 90% sure I'm gonna attend that meeting. Cause I already talked to my employer, they're gonna let me leave at 2 o'clock. And it's right down the street from where I work at, so I'm about 90% sure he'll let me go.
Now, let me just clarify. We're doing this as individuals, not as POP. But we're getting behind other organizations who are taking the lead on it. Phil is a part of another organization that we are supportive of, that are taking the lead on this. We have to be clear about that. You know, we're doing personal development leadership training. That's what we do here. We are an institute, not an activist group. But we believe strongly that this is where the rubber meets the road. For instance, if you pay me to help keep this guy out of prison, but then you're the problem, then that's where we have our point of confluence. You get what I'm saying? So that's the elephant in the room, so to speak. So these guys are taking that thing to this activism level, and it's got to be done. This situation is.
I did want to say too,
go ahead,
bringing the fabulous Jo Erickson with her. She's going to be asking those journalism questions, and so we're going to have some questions for her to ask as well.
It's excellent.
Can I ask a question about this?
Sure.
That's just thought of something. Phil, I know we have a, because you know, I plan on going myself. I know we have a, well, let me speak for myself. I have an idea of what we're going for.
Okay.
But I want to make sure that when we go there, that we're all delivering the same. Exactly. We're all delivering the same message. That we're not there for our individual reasons. You know what I mean? So is there like is there a script, or is there a kind of idea who's going to be doing the speaking? You know what I mean? Is there could we have a kind of format how we're going to approach this PLC
person to like maybe 3 or 4 people just present kind of like the same idea to her. You know, maybe I don't want to overload her with these stories, but maybe we can tell her a story or two about such as his experience. His thing, I witnessed it firsthand. It was just pure speculation, you know, and that's why he got violated. And that's what we want to lay out for her, how this stuff happens. And also, his PO and Lamar's PO was told him they can't attend pop groups. What they have to do now is he has to use his own pastime in order to come. And so
He can't come.
right, that's why you haven't seen him. You know, he just got his restriction lifted, but Chad, who is his ISR agent, has told him, no, you can't come. And he just got out of 180. But his restriction is even more repressive than it was when he was in 180. Remember he came over here a few weeks ago? And after that, you know, he got out, got his own place, and now all of a sudden, you know, he can't come. So the guy told him today, well, you know, if you do that, you just have to do it. You have to get a pass and use your own pass. Wow. So, and I still haven't been able to get
So
any.
let me help out that question. This is Esau and his young lady Alicia. Give Alicia a big hand. All right. Come on in. Y'all can go back here and sit.
Sit right here.
Richard, I want you to hear this. Listen to this. We've been messing around here trying to do some research. This is coming out of LA. This is from the LA Times. Sending people back to jail or prison for technical violations and other low-level violations imposes foolish punishment, protects no one, and costs $2.8 billion a year. Now, to Richard's question, and it's a good one, what's the script? How do you justify the ask? Well, this is one thing that sets it up, right? I'm just going to read slightly so you can get it. A comprehensive national study by the Justice Center of the Council of State Governments, that would include Minnesota, released last week confirms what has been hinted at for years by anecdotal reports and narrower studies. A large portion of people fail probation or parole and end up back in jail or prison because of conduct. For the rest of us, would probably be perfectly legal or at least not worthy of incarceration. Now, this is the LA Times now. Okay, we're gonna go further here. They might miss a drug rehab appointment, for example, or sit down to lunch with a friend with a criminal record. This is describing what happened with Chris at Phil's house.
Right.
I'm coming to you in a minute. With Chris at Phil's house. And the guy, Chris is doing the best he's ever done. I've been with him for 7 years. And he always comes out, he stays home 6 months, and he clowns and goes back to prison. This is his pattern. Now look, and this time he done broke the pattern. September is when he got out. In 2 more months, Chris will have been out for a year, the longest he ever been out, and he's doing the best he's ever done. Now this guy ought to be aware of what I'm aware of.
Come on.
Instead, though, he punishes him, suggests, here we go, back to the same old thing. Somebody else is signing this. We want everybody, please, if it's important to you. You don't have to be a male, just sign it. Here we go. This is the article again. These technical violations of probation or parole account for nearly a quarter of all state prison admissions. They turn programs that are supposed to be alternatives to incarceration into a major engine of the jail and prison system. I'll wait for all the amens to die down.
All right.
This is not us talking here. We are not making up stuff. I didn't have this research available to me. I just sat here and watched what's happening to us.
Right.
And based on that, we've been now 3 or 4 years ahead of this.
Yeah, right.
Because we see what they're doing.
That's right.
Anyway, Philip, this is something that y'all may want to consider. It says, yes, jails and prisons exist to punish people for wrongdoing and to protect public safety. But sending people back for technical violations and other low-level violations imposes foolish punishment, protects no one. According to the report, it costs now this is LA, costs $2.4 billion. We could have a number. We have a number in Minnesota. This document here, go ahead, Susan, what you got?
So basically, so I work for NPR and I did a report on this and I interviewed the DOC. So he was saying, in percentage of people that are sent back, this is just Minnesota, 35% of people sitting in prisons today are there because of technical violations. That is just missing meetings, failing a drug test, or missing a curfew. That's it. So no new crimes, just these conditions that probation and parole have put on people. The DOC portion now says he's very concerned about those numbers, and they are all working, apparently, to reduce it. So he says in my report, and I could give you the raw audio, he even mentions power people, that he had been to a meeting, he'd listened to you guys, and yes, this is a big problem. The trouble is with every DOC, where do you make the changes? This is they make these platitudes saying, hey, we're going to make these changes, it's going to happen, be patient, these are good. What you need to do in the meeting is to have a plan, to ask them, what is their plan? How are they actively going to reduce the numbers? What are they doing with the probation office to make sure that these people are not going around revolving door or going back into jails and prisons? That's the part where you guys need more pressure. And I have a difficult line here because I cannot interfere too much. I can only give you advice, but I can't, as a journalist, if I'm going to report on it, I can't be telling you what to say and what to do. Okay, I can only advise. And what I've been doing with Philip is pointing me in different ways
Mm-hmm.
and giving them information. So you have an email today. You need, in order for this campaign to work, you need a personality. And I gave him a list of celebrities I've used on my shows at NPR. There's some Lynx girls, there's some all sorts of names, and you can contact
That's a
them.
good idea.
And you want them to be the face, rather than, there are a number of politicians who are doing prison reforms. I know that it falls under the reducing the, it's to do with the murder parole boards, it's the life boards. There are a couple of politicians you could use who are very active in that reform to push this agenda forward. So use the people around you, because when I did this report for NPR, it took me forever. Tia has been on my show. I do a show every 2 weeks. That wasn't an issue. You come in on my show, you can say what you like, and I have total control. When I'm working for the newsroom, the editors, and this is not just NPR, this is all of them. So this is the Star Trib, this is, all of a sudden, when I do a report, they want to know. So I got information from the DOC. I interviewed parole officers. I got parole officers saying that yes, we agree, this has gone too far. The sticking point of my report, and you can listen to it, I've sent the links to Wayne. Wayne has it. They wanted to know everything about Phil. Oh, and I say everything about his crime, the A to Z of everything, even though the story is, hey, he's committed crimes, we're not talking about that. We're talking about parole and probation office sending people back for not committing new crimes. That's the story.
Right.
We don't need to know the A, but I had to, and Bill was sending me, and they were sending me all his probation notes, and my editor was going, check this with Stearns County, check this with this. And I knew everything about your life that I didn't need to put in that story, and I didn't use it.
Wow.
That is how difficult it is to convince white people that this is an issue. Because if I have enough, and this is liberal media, if I have a ton of problems trying to convince them, you need someone to front a campaign, because you going to the DOC is seen as, hey, you don't deserve any credit. You don't deserve any of this. You've done your crime, you deserve this.
That's right.
So
I gotta stop you right there, but that's give her some love. Isaac got to head back, and and what I want to say out loud, that was an excellent unpacking of that situation, Joe. That was excellent. And we needed to hear that.
Yeah, that's right.
And Phil needs to hear. I mean, this is how technical it is, and this is kind of why I'm saying you got to keep it individual. You can, what we do is raise up leaders. And you taking leadership in a particular area, that's the way it's supposed to be. But Isaac now is coming close to the end of his time at the halfway house. It's in September. And I really want to see him transition out of there. And he mentioned to me that one of the other offenders had stole some of his property while he's at work. And you might want to give somebody some pow-pows. That's what we say in my house. Some pow-pows, but you can't really do that, you know what I mean? Because he's trying to do something so much bigger, and you got that petty attitude in there that doesn't realize, you know what I mean? And would just risk everything for, Zuzu and Wham Wham. So we have to just encourage him to stay the course, because we want to see him transition out. Now, let me tell you one more thing. When September comes, Isaac and, you know, everybody in here has done a lot of time, and, you know, we have a few hundred years amongst all of us, but Isaac has done the most. And so what we'd like to do is when his time comes, we'd like to just take a little collection to help him so he got his right money. I don't, whatever his check is, I ain't talking about his check, but we just come on to recognize this 38 years, and he's coming out here trying to do what he's supposed to be doing. You know, everybody in here, think about kicking in, you know, $50 or $100, the best you can. If it was you, you would want somebody that, so that he can move into his own place, and, you know, this and that. Just be thinking about it. It's not right now, but it's down the line. But Isaac, I just want to encourage you to don't go dog bone on nobody over there.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Off the train.
We gotta let old dog bone go now, you know. But go ahead, you got something to say quick?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm focused, you know. Today I had a diverse situation that I had to just let it go. You know, I got back from work and the director of the program that took all my music, my basketball, and everything, and kind of like cleared my room. Like, you got too much stuff. I'm like, I've almost been here a year. What do you think?
Right.
I'm buying stuff. I'm supposed to accumulate something, you know. So anyway, they took all my stuff. I didn't even trip on it. I'm like, September and I'm done, you know. So that's where my mind is. Also, I've been doing a lot of bike rides. I got like 615 miles on my bike.
Wow.
And I just had it for like a month and a week, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes I do 41 miles in a day, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna reach my 1,000 mark before my birthday. And, I'm just thinking large. I want to get a bicycle shop, and for the community, for the kids, teach them how to fix bikes and stuff. Because I'm seeing all these bike shops in my neighborhood, and they're repairing these bikes, and they're selling for outrageous prices, $400, $500, $600 for a used bike. I mean, come on. I mean, I could see that money coming in our community and going in our kids' pockets. So that's going to be one of my goals, is to get like about 30, 40 kids and teach them how to do this and let them make that money and have something to look for instead of picking up that bag.
Let me hold you right here. So one of my goals is to
All
get you
right,
back
all
on
right,
time. Give
all
him a
right.
hand. So,
Isaac, we riding in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, we got to go.
We gonna do Calhoun.
We got it.
I'll call you.
I'm going to go slow.
We'll go slow. It's 7:51. You know what we didn't have? How you doing, Brother Dean? Wow, look at Miss B. Come on in here. That's Woodrow's wife right there, Miss Brother Dean. Give her a little
You gonna stay in here with us and pledge out?
Yeah, we got to pledge out now.
I'm in the middle of the street,
Well,
I have my hands on that, okay?
No.
No, thank you.
So, but wait a minute, but we want, say your name. Alicia is here. We want Alicia and Esau just to say a quick word before we pledge out. Go ahead, Esau, go ahead and introduce her. Excuse me, give me your attention, please. Esau. Go ahead.
This is Alicia, my girlfriend. We met 5 years ago. Our situations were different, and now we were able to come together as a couple.
Wow.
And we've been together since March.
Wow.
So things are going great, and she's got a beautiful daughter, and she works really hard, and it's just really good.
Alicia, you want to say something about yourself?
When we talk about
My life?
yeah, just a little.
Oh! I have never said. It's my first time. Okay. I'm sorry, I will not too much talk English. Because before, 5 years ago, I worked in the laundry in Medina. I thought every time I saw when he coming in the work and looking at him, say, oh my God, he's handsome. I like it because in this time I am married. I know it's good for Russia or him. He talked to me and my friend. He say, Alicia, you are me? I say, no, because I am married. I say, okay. For 5 years, no more see him.
Right.
I changed other job.
Yeah.
In March,
she texts me, "Hola, Alicia. I am separate. I am divorced." Say, Esau, welcome on my life.
That girl kept a 5-year eye on that boy. Okay.
You just call long distance.
Okay. We get ready to pledge out. Just hold him on the phone for a minute. Talk to him for a while. And after the pledge, I get up. Come on, y'all. Let's pledge out of here. What a meeting, man. Amazing. Yeah, thank you, sis.
Yes. Yeah.
That was so beautiful.
All trash. Thank you. Thank you, man.
Amanda and I, you have to back up to the wall. Best you can do, you know what I mean? Come on and get in. So, thank you guys for bringing your lady friends tonight. Sometimes, Alicia, the women would think that the guys were telling the tale that they wasn't really coming to no group.
Thank you.
And so, see, then they'd be saying, well, okay, who's Pop? Then I want to talk to Pop. Right. And then I'm getting all these phone calls like saying, you know, oh yeah, he comes. You know, so don't be like that. So we got a chance now. Now she knows, Alicia knows who we are. Right. Come on, so slide down. Come on, is that everybody? Wayne, is that everybody? Come on, sister. Come on, get in, Phil.
Can I just say this was some good stuff?
It was.
Very interesting stuff. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Amen. Thank you for coming. All right, I will balance my family values. My goals. I will exercise wisdom. And what I tell to Alicia. Otherwise, mommy don't play. I will try to make all relationships win-win. No deal. I will under every circumstance maintain a positive attitude. I will enjoy my life with a sense of humor while taking advantage of opportunities, learning from my misfortune. I will act upon circumstances rather than have them act upon me. And remember, mommy don't play. I will always take my wisdom, my health, my happiness. I will stay principle-centered, maintain a positive circle of influence. I will daily learn, commit, and do. I will. According to the POP Leadership Institute. And be productive in my community. And my private life. Because mommy don't play. All right. Let's hug somebody.